this afternoon, we're going to start getting down into the nitty gritty of some of the relationship patterns that we have in our life and where they came from. But the warning on the package here is that this work that we do is not about gathering ammunition for more things to judge about yourself. On the other hand, if we just stick our head in the sand and don't really look at what these patterns are, they end up, well, running our life. So our purpose here for the rest of our day is to learn how to better use relationships to grow in self-love and self-mastery. Relationships aren't there to make you happy. Sorry, folks. You know, that's the advertisement that's out there in our general culture is your relationships are supposed to make you happy. And that's, of course, a recipe for disaster, as we'll look at later on, because once the honeymoon is over, the gloves are off and you stop making one another happy, then all the stuff comes out. Better we should clean house first, take care of ourselves, be in the driver's seat of our own happiness, and then share it with one another. Now, I wish I had this some 50 years ago. But even if I had it, we still often have to go through the hoops.
Weren't you teaching this 50 years ago, Jim?
I was an avid student. I've been married for Jeepers. May 17th, it's going to be 54 years. And I was in relationship with my partner even before then. So, yeah, I've been on the roller coaster. And this stuff that we're talking about for the rest of the day isn't stuff I got from a textbook necessarily. Although some of the patterns and things do come from work that I did with Sandra Ray and the Loving Relationships training. But we're here to learn how to increase the enjoyment of our present relationships and to create the new ones that you want the most in your life. They're there to support your mutual highest growth. And sometimes that's hearing stuff you don't want to hear. Sometimes it's feeling stuff that isn't always happy. And sometimes it's looking in the mirror, which is what happens if you stay with someone for more than a one night stand, is they become a more and more highly polished mirror. And you begin to see things about yourself that may be uncomfortable. But the joy in that is that when we have a loving relationship and a partnership and we get over the blame game, then we've invited someone in to show us things that no one else would. Everyone else would be too polite to show us those things. And this isn't a sinister plot that the universe has to make us feel bad. In fact, it's au contraire, mes amis. It is exactly what we need in order to let go and to release. We can go into looking at these things and read through it and see it what it's intended for, which is opportunities for us now to let go of the baggage we've been carrying around and not blame ourselves for that.
Or anyone else.
Thank you. We're going to fine tune how to use our relationships to get enlightened, to lighten our life, to know why you have created the relationships that you currently have, the ones that you think are great and the ones you think are not so great, and to get more of what you really want from your relationships, to get clear about, most of all, the relationship with yourself. So way back a couple of months ago, we looked at the principle of creative thought. You know, we are creating our life with the deepest beliefs that we hold, and we got a challenge here. if we are creating our life and if we are the creator, as it were, how does that stack up with other people's free will? If I get to create the life I want and Brian decides he doesn't like the life that I'm putting out with him, is this a built-in struggle? And that's the way life looks like when we forget that we are love. I said in the first seminar is getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And we do that when we say, we are not one with God. We're not one with Source. And then game is on. Once you've denied your connection to Source, then it's all about how do you get back there. You eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and then sometimes I'm evil, sometimes I'm good. And now I got to struggle to be good. And finally, that's too much. I like some evil. That's more fun than this being good stuff, But we've created a life of polarities. And in the polarities, we're always being pulled one way or another. I remember all those old memes, devil on one shoulder, the left, and the angel on the right, and they're both speaking in your ear at the same time. Take Rich's candy bar, he won't notice. No, that's his. Leave your hand. Oh, see what you did now? You guilted him into giving me a candy bar. Bad boy. Oh, give it back to him. Give him some more candy. No, it's going to rot his teeth. Da 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 da. On we go with the inner relationship game of good and evil, right and wrong. How do we get out of that? As Einstein said, and Marianne Williamson and a whole bunch of other people, the problem is not solved on the level it was created. And so we've accepted some major premises in our logic of life. And these major premises are limiting thoughts about who we are and who the other is. And we can struggle and find all sorts of solutions. Maybe if I just compliment them on their hairdo, or I buy them good gifts, or the 5 love languages. I discover my partner's love language, and I do that. And all of that turns out to be a manipulation. It's trying to get something that we already have, but we're pretending we don't. It gets very complicated. All right. So we're going to jump in here and answer that question. How can I be absolute in my universe and not limit the other? Because the answer isn't in the mind where separation rules. The answer is in the heart, where it takes us above the one versus the other. It takes us to what unites us, what brings us together in love. So relationships often turns out to be a study of our inner illusions that are projected on life. We go to the grocery store. Oh yeah, see, old people get in your way and they're crotchety and they do, so whatever projections I have, I'm either going to draw to me what I think, and I'm going to reinforce whatever I believe, or I'm going to project those beliefs that I have onto others. And if I project long enough, I'm going to invite them into playing that role in my life. The law of attraction, the law of projection, the law of transformation. Again, that's stuff we looked at, seminar number 1. All right, fasten your seatbelts, folks. We're going in. And let's start with a little AB partnership exercise again. We'll do breakout rooms. This time, Rich is going to put you in the room with another person. And each person is going to have 1 minute with each of these 3 sentence steps. First one is, a fear I have about examining my relationships is. So just for a minute, you just say, a fear I have about examining the relationships is that I'm going to find something embarrassing. Your partner says, thank you. Fear I have about examining my relationships is I might find something that I have to change and do something about. Thank you. And so for a minute, I just keep saying it and saying what pops out. Okay, minute's up. I go on to the next sentence. A joy I have about in examining my relationships is, I get to release things that might have been holding me back from sharing my love. Thank you. A joy I have in releasing. And see, whenever you get to a place where you can't think of anything else, yay, that's a good spot. Because then your mind isn't taking over and saying the next clever thing. So just say the sentence and then listen to see what pops out of your mouth. It may be totally contradictory to what you said before. It makes no difference. Surprise yourself. A joy that I have in examining my relationships is 1 minute, person talks, your partner is just there to say thank you for the sharing. That's all. And then the third minute, what I like about you is, what I like about, wait a minute, I don't know this person. I have never seen him before. How do I know what I like about them? You put it in gear. It may be, it doesn't have to be a profound, I like your holy aura, you know, of green and chartreuse, you know, or something. No, it could be, I like that you're smiling right now. I like that you show up here and are doing this kind of work. I like your horn-rimmed glasses. You just say what comes out for a minute. Say anything that comes to you about what you like about that person. Now, it may be intuitive. It may pop out of you. I like your love for horses. Oh, where did that come from? I don't know. Just say it. Whatever comes up. End of that minute, then we go to B. And now B goes through those 3 minutes. Meet your new partner. It's amazing what you can get in a minute. It's interesting here, this little third part of the exercise we did about acknowledgement. So telling the loving truth about others all the time and acknowledging others is the key to transforming your relationships. You know, we thought it was about pointing out to folks what's wrong with them. You know, somehow that this was going to improve the world. I love the story about the psychologist who was the head of the American Psychological Association, had written many successful books, top of his field. And one day his 5-year-old daughter said to him, Daddy, why are you such a grump? It shook his world. It changed his life. Yeah, I have everything that my profession or the culture would say a person would want. Acknowledgement, fame, money that went with it. But am I happy? Am I having a relationship with my daughter that I want? And he pivoted at that point in his career. And he decided to invent a new branch of psychology. It was and is called positive psychology. Imagine that. You know, not about what's wrong with people and various diagnoses. And he found that when they actually studied it, what makes people happy? It's finding out what their signature strengths are, building upon them. You talked about the steps of happiness, like acknowledgement and gratitude. And then he started getting into stuff that started making me uncomfortable, like savoring. Was I taught to savor things in my life? I was taught to do the job, get on to the next thing. He said, no, savor what you have, savor your relationships. And then he went completely over the top for me. He said, luxuriate, learn how to luxuriate. Well, that was definitely sinful Luxuriating. What comes to your mind when you hear the word luxuriating? For me, it's like a bathtub with
Yes.
rose petals and incense burning and music playing, and I can take about 5 seconds of that. And then, what's on my to-do list? So in that little exercise we did, it was practicing because what do we really want in life and in our relationships? What do we really want? Oh, I want someone to adore me. I want someone to be on my back. Nah, that gets old real fast. It's divine recognition. Just to recognize the divinity in one another. That takes away all of the game playing, takes away all of the one-upsmanship, takes away all of the who's better than and having to prove. Simple divine recognition. There is that in yoga, namaste. The God in me recognizes the God in you. The concept is very simple, and that is that we relate from our divine heart, our sacred heart, to the heart of another. In so doing, there are no strangers. Imagine a world with no strangers. When we used to do the Creative Life Series, sometimes we'd have 30 people in this room. And we get up and we say, go to the next person, just at random, a light I see in you is. A light I see in you is. Thank you. A light I see in you is. A light I see in you is. And you're walking around people you never saw before, and you're just saying, a light I see. You remember that, Andy, right? A light I see in you is. And after a while, it's like gotten real easy. You didn't have to manufacture something. Oh, what is this person going to want to hear? You were seeing with the eyes of love, and voila, it would just pop out. We bypass the mind. The mind is the citadel of complication. Keep it simple. The best form of healing is your acknowledging presence. And this goes for all of us. We teach it in the breathwork courses. I love to teach bioenergetics and body themes and all these wonderful, seeking pattern identifying stuff. It can be fun. It can be useful. But if that's done in a mechanical way, boring. It's your loving presence that is the real healer. What you are serves others more than what you do. So one of the teachers, Leonard Orr, said that the world is full of great givers, but what they have very little practice in is how to totally receive. God wants pleasure and joy for us. That old apocryphal story about Albert Einstein on his deathbed. Like they're waiting for another E equals MC squared. And Albert Einstein, as the story goes, thought for a while, and he says, the question facing the world right now that's most important, do we live in a friendly universe or not? At first I thought, well, yeah, he's kind of gone off his marbles, getting a little out there. But the more I thought about it, I thought, how brilliant it. Who gets to decide whether we are living in a loving universe, in a friendly universe or not? Is science going to prove that? No, I don't think there's a mathematical equation for that. But there is a knowingness within us that is either turned on or switched off. So we recognize that truth in the deepest part of ourselves. So we're going to look at relationship patterns here. And we're going to bring these to awareness to release the ones that are limiting for us.